So welcome everybody to another webinar. If you've already joined a webinar in the past, it's hopefully you're finding them of benefit. If it's your first one, welcome. And we're going to talk about time management and how you can be more productive with your time, because time is a finite resource. You cannot get more of it. Once you've used it, you can't use it again. So what you have to do, particularly in business, you have to make the most of it. You have to use it to the best possible way to create the most output. So what can you do to help get more out of your time? Before we start, I will just give you a little bit of overview from Boost, is that they've refocused for the current period on business resilience rather than business growth. So this is something that is the Ask for Help campaign, if you're familiar with it. If you're, you will be small startup businesses. If for any possible support that you might need, please ask Boost for any help. They're here to help you. There's many experts associated with Boost, and they'll be more than happy and committed to try and help Lancashire businesses. So it's a great campaign, and it's a great organisation. So do make the most of what's out there, because we're very lucky in Lancashire to have it. So we've just talked about the time management. So I'm hoping by the end of this webinar, you will have the following. You'll have the skills to better prioritise your work for a maximum financial return for your business. I will give you a few time management techniques, tips and ideas. You may have heard of some of them already. However, these are the ones that we've adopted in our business and I've used over the years. Some are better than others, but they're certainly useful for particular situations, especially when you're working in a remote environment where you haven't necessarily, you've got lots of communication channels open, but you're having to focus on work as well. Communication channels being chats, emails, video conferences, children in the background, all of those sorts of things. So these are the things you can adopt. And then the software tools that are out there to help you manage your time. But ultimately, it comes down to you. You can get any software tool you want, but if you don't have the discipline and you don't set the routine and have the focus, you won't get the most out of it. So it does come down to you as the individual to be prepared to work hard at adopting some of these techniques and approaches. But let's get started. How can you better prioritize? Oh, sorry, better tell you a bit about me first. First of all, I'm a business owner. I have a business called Blue Wren, and we are a software and website company. We're a digital business of the year. We have 14 staff. We're 10 years old. And our raison d'etre, our reason for being, is around productivity and process improvement. We are always looking at how we can improve the way that we do things in our business. And likewise, we help other businesses improve the way that they do things by providing them with software to help them with their productivity, whether that be project management, time management, resourcing, or CRM, or things like that. So we know what we're in it. We're in the business of efficiency and productivity every single day. So hopefully some of our expertise will rub off here, and I can share our experience and give you some thoughts that you can potentially take back into your own business. So the first thing, the most important thing around time management is prioritization. How you prioritize your time to get the most out of it. And it sounds easy enough, but there are some certain things that it's worth considering, and things that we're familiar with in the way that we've been working over the past 10 years that will help you, hopefully, prioritize. So the first thing sounds really obvious. Do the urgent and the important things first. And I'll come on to the way that you identify those in a minute. But humans are like water, I've always said. We take the path of least resistance, particularly those that are working on challenging things. So quite often, we will procrastinate on the challenging or complex or difficult or things that are a bit unsavory and pick up the things that we like doing first. So we'll do the easy stuff first, the things we're feeling comfortable with. But that does not make you productive. That does not help you get more out of less. So it's really important that you identify what is urgent and what is important, and you tackle those first. And once you've done those, you move on to the next most important and urgent thing. You do not have a big long list and do the things that you like to do early. You know, even in your everyday life, we'll have a list of jobs that you might have from your husband or wife to on the weekend to do the housework or work around the house. You'll pick off the things you like to do first, and then you'll get to the tricky stuff at the end. So that's not how it works for efficiency and productivity. Another thing which is really, really important, and also something that we have, it's a mantra in our business. Half done is not done. We all do it. We all have a list of things to do, whether that be a task list for the day or something for the week, and we will start something and we will not finish it because of one thing or another. Either we will be sidetracked, we will be distracted, or we won't be feeling it anymore, and we'll move on to the next task, say, oh, I'll come back to that. Now, if you've got 10 things to do and you tackle part of them each of 10 times, so at the end of the week, you've done 10 things a bit rather than 3 things completely done, you'll find that you will be incredibly less efficient if you're starting things and coming off them and going back to them. Work till they're done. Half done is not done. The reason for that is because we have to, as we're focusing on things, and whatever that task might be or job might be, if we are having to acquaint ourselves, get back into the focus of it and understand what we're working on, that is time that is taken that we have to then reinvest if we come back to something. And all of that adds up, and it's around wastage, and time wastage is a cost, particularly around when you're managing time. So half done is not done. Do something until it's complete. Don't say, oh, I'll come back to that. I'll just have a brew and I'll come back. No, finish it, then reward yourself with a brew or whatever that is. So half done is not done. That is really, really important. Multitasking makes you stupid. Now, this is another thing. These are things that have come out of agile methodology, project management methodology, if you're familiar with it. But effectively, we cannot multitask. As much as we say, oh, we're multitasking, you cannot, as humans, you cannot focus on multiple things at once. How many times have you been in your computer working on something, whether that be a report, a presentation, a proposal, and an email pops up, yeah, or a WhatsApp message pops up. You're distracted. You focus your attention at the email or the WhatsApp message, and suddenly your attention has shifted, and it will take you another effort to get back into what you were focused on, or you won't get back to it at all, and you'll come back to it at a much, much later time, and you've again wasted that time. So multitasking, don't do it. So if you need something to get done, you focus on it until it is done, and don't think you can do multiple things at once, because you can't. As much as people think, oh yeah, I can multitask, you can't. So multitasking makes you stupid. Another thing, and this is again to come out of agile methodology, but it's very, very, user friendly for the thing that you want to adopt, is that large projects or large activities or tasks can feel insurmountable. You can feel like you're never going to get there. So the best thing to do is to break it down into into achievable bite-sized chunks. So if you've got a task of, I don't know, writing a report for a project. Now, writing that report will take, you can say, right, I've got to write that report, and you start and you write the report. But actually, if you broke that task or that major project down into a number of tasks, which might be research, schematic, first draft, second draft, and you focused on that task in isolation to get it done, you'll be amazed at how more efficient you will be at getting through that project. Because when we feel it's insurmountable, we retreat. We don't have the energy or the motivation to focus and to get through something. So it's really important that you try and break it down into bite-sized chunks. Now, I don't mean minuscule by the minute, breaking something down into absolute micro level, because again, that's extremely inefficient to spend all your time planning rather than doing. But if you can break down a task into something that you can say there is a start and there is a finish, but it then moves you towards the end goal, that is really, really valuable. The other thing about prioritization is, in a day, the research shows that we can't really do more than 5 or 6 things once. So you'll see, you'll see people, or you'll do it yourself. You'll have a long old task list. You say, oh, today I'm going to do this, and this, and it's going to be 10 things long. And we always, humans do it all the time. Believe me, I work with developers and they always do it. It's the most frustrating thing ever. They always overestimate their ability to get things done. They underestimate the time that it will take them to do something. So if you do that, if you accept that you're underestimating the time that it will take, you then focus on 6 things. So you have 6 things you're going to do that day. You focus on the most important and urgent things, but there's only ever 6. There's no more than 6. There may be fewer than 6. But don't think you're going to get through 10. Bear in mind, you've broken these things down into bite-sized chunks, not into micro things. And suddenly you will find yourself being far, far more efficient. Another good technique is, against those 6 things, write down how much time you estimate you're going to allocate towards them. Now, and then you'll start to realize that actually you have overestimated yet again what you expect to get done. Because once you start to allocate a time to them, you realize you've run out, because you didn't realize all these things take time. We're not very good at forecasting time. It's just in our nature. So have 6. Keep a backlog of things you want to do, obviously, but only have 6 things to do in a day. And then the other thing, which we talked about at the beginning, which is around prioritizing the most urgent and important things, is a really good tool that we've adopted in our business, both for our delivery teams, but also our managers. And it's really good personally. I use it all the time because it's something that is a very good model to put tasks against, to put tasks through, to understand whether they're worth doing or not. So it's called the Eisenhower Matrix. You may well have come across it before. It's really simple to use, and I don't mean you use it all the time, because once you start using it, you actually get comfortable with it. You don't have to refer to it all the time, but we have it on our desks because when we've got a long list of tasks to achieve or a long list of things to do, it just helps you clarify and focus on the most important things first. So there's 2 axes around importance and urgency. So you have your list of tasks, you have your 20 odd things or 10 things, not for doing that day, but you have your things to achieve for a project, or you have the things to achieve for that week. And then you start to identify, is it important and is it urgent? So if it's important and urgent, you do it now. So it goes straight to the top of your list and you do it now. You focus on it. Nothing else gets in the way, and you focus on that and pass it through this model. Is it important and is it urgent? Is it important, but is it not urgent? Okay, so these are also, you need to deal with these tasks very, very soon, but you can't do them now, so you have to schedule them in. So it's very, very key that I'm trying to avoid the word important all the time, aren't I? Because I keep reusing it. But it's important that you identify what's coming up next and you schedule that in, because you've got this finite resource. So you want to be able to allocate that resource in advance. So when it comes to doing these important tasks, and when they come to be urgent, you've got time to do it. So it might be training, for example, which is really important, but it's not urgent. The training, if you get upskill at something, it's really important that you need that to be able to grow your business. So you put it in and you schedule it. So that way you make sure that you don't do it and you don't put it off. And that's another really, really important thing. If it's not important, but it is urgent, and this might not be that relevant to yourselves because you might not have the resource, but if you do, that's great. Can you delegate it? You might not be in a position to delegate, so therefore you might not be able to use that quadrant, that part of the quadrant. But if you can delegate it, then please do. Delegate it to someone. So, for example, attend a networking event. Yep, it's not important, but it's urgent because it's coming up tomorrow. Can I delegate that to someone else in my business? And that is a way of moving stuff out that is getting in the way of you focusing on doing the most important things first and getting yourself more productive and more efficient. If you can't delegate, then you have to move that task into one of the other 3 quadrants. So bear that in mind. So you have to reclassify it. If it's not important and not urgent, delete it. And it's amazing that you will find that when we get into routines and we get into being busy, and you heard of the phrase busy fools will be doing things that are not important, but not urgent, but will be busy. And they will not prioritize what they have to do. Someone who's on top of time management will not be busy. They will be well organized, they'll be focused, and they'll get so much more done. So you want to delete those things. You want to be able to delete the stuff that just gets in the way. And it's very, very easy to fall into the trap because it's easy to do, it's comfortable to do, but it's not urgent and it's not important. Don't do it. And it's as simple as that. And it does really, really help day to day getting through things, because if you're feeling under pressure, and particularly when we do this with our management team, if they're feeling under pressure and we're saying, well, we're not getting anything done, or I've got all these things started, I haven't, just say stop. Remember what we said, half done is not done. You focus on one thing at a time, and let's return to the Eisenhower matrix. Is it important? Is it urgent? Yes. And then suddenly you've asked those 2 questions, and then away they go. So there's some help, hopefully, on how to prioritize. And that's the first step to being really, really good at time management. Now I'm going to talk to you about a couple of techniques that you might want to adopt for time management. Some they might not all work for you, but some might. And these are the things that we've used in the past and I use. And it doesn't mean you have to use them every single day, but they are very good little, hacks, if you like, productivity hacks that you can adopt. But you have to be disciplined, and you have to be prepared to focus on it until it's done. So, first one is the 5-minute rule. I don't know if you've. The creative Instagram was asked, "What's your biggest tip for for up and coming entrepreneurs and business people?" And he said about overcoming procrastination. Yeah, if you don't want to do something, make a deal with yourself and do it for at least 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, you'll end up doing the whole thing. I mean, it's simple as that. And it does work. We have something in our business called 5 more minutes. So once you've started something and you start to get distracted, or you start to get fatigued, or you start to get, fed up, you make a deal with yourself and you say 5 more minutes. If you do 5 more minutes, suddenly your brain kicks in, you refocus, and then you're away again. It's a bit like exercise, if you know what I mean. I mean, many of us will procrastinate about starting exercise or going to the gym. But once you've started it, you're fine. And it's that psychological thing of getting something started. And so we will, like I said, path of least resistance, we'll avoid doing things we're not comfortable with. If you make a deal with yourself for 5 minutes, what have I got to lose? I'm going to do it for 5 minutes. Suddenly, you will get things done, and it will be amazing how simple this little technique is, but it does really, really work. So I would recommend trying that. Just telling yourself, put a little post-it note on your monitor, 5 more minutes, and see how that goes, and just remind yourself. Here's another one. The Pomodoro Technique. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's named after a tomato, but it's the timer. Some clever clogs came up with it. I don't know who created it, but it's just a way of getting through really chunky things in the most efficient way, and actually getting some focus. So you choose a task or an activity or a chore. You choose something to do. You set your Pomodoro timer, which is this tomato thing. It can be any timer. You set your Pomodoro for 25 minutes. And then you work on that task uninterrupted until that rings. So you turn off emails. You turn off your phone. You shut your children away if you can. You actually 100% focus on that one thing for 25 minutes. That's all. That's the only deal you got with yourself. For 25 minutes, I'm going to focus on this and nothing else. And then it will ring and you'll take a 5-minute break. Even though you're in the middle of it, it doesn't matter. You're taking a 5-minute break. And then you go back into that 25 minutes, whether that's on the same task or you've already gone through it and you go on to the next one. And then you repeat that for 4. So you do 4 times 25 minutes, and then you take a longer break. And that longer break, you reward yourself. So you'll make a brew, or you'll go out for a walk, or you'll get some fresh air, or you get something to eat. So you'll make that distinction in a break. You can't work like that forever. We've tried it. It doesn't work. You can't be so committed. You will have phone calls to make, emails to check. But if you say, look, one morning a week, all I'm doing is the Pomodoro Technique. I'm going to commit one morning to 25-minute slots of getting things done. You will be amazed. In that morning, you'll get more done then than you will get for the large part of the rest of the week. I guarantee it. It's just all about focus, and it's just a clever way of focusing. That's all. But it's, again, giving you something. It's almost gamifying it. It's saying you're making a deal with yourself, and this is all the things this is all about time management. You make deals with yourself, with your subconscious, with your emotional self, to say, look, if you do this, I'll reward you with that. So that's a Pomodoro technique. Here's another one. Eat the frog in the morning. Have you heard of that saying? It's a good one. So eat the frog in the morning. I think Mark Twain made a comment about, if you eat frogs, make sure you eat them in the morning. Okay. It's associated with him, amongst others. But it's about tackling those things that are important that might not be that fun to do. So it's all about planning every day in advance. So you don't get up in the morning and go, oh, okay, what am I doing today? You know exactly what's ahead of you today because you've planned it. You've either planned the week out or you've planned it from the night before. So you know exactly what you have to do to achieve your outcome or your goals for the day. You've prioritized them. You've put the most urgent and important ones at the top because you've used your Eisenhower matrix. And then there's going to be some ugly ones to deal with. Yeah, but they're going to be important and urgent. So out of those, you might have to make a tricky phone call. You might have to do, I don't know, your VAT return. Things that you don't really like doing, and it's really easy to put off because they're ugly. You might have to make that challenge. You have to update a customer that they're not going to get what they wanted in the time that they wanted, or something like that. So that's your frog. And so you choose your most difficult task, as long as it's urgent and important, and you do it first. And you eat your frog in the morning. The science says that will give you energy and momentum for the rest of the day. You get a bit of an adrenaline kick, believe it or not. You say, I've got it out the way. It's not hanging over my head anymore. It's not something I'm going to put off until I'm kicked down the road, until I have to do it. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to tackle it. And believe it or not, you feel better for it. You've overcome it. And quite often, it's not as bad as you think, because it's the unknown. It's the not starting which creates the stress, not the actual doing, and that happens time and time again. So create your list in advance, circle the frog, and say, I'm going to eat that frog, and have a frog a day if you can. It's very healthy. But getting through those is another way or another technique that you can adopt. So I've sort of just talked about 3. I mean, there are others, but these are ones that we've adopted, and these are the ones that have worked for us, and these are the ones we're familiar with. There will be others, but they're really easy to do, and they're good for a startup business as much as they are good for an established business, because it's about creating a personal discipline and a routine around focus and around understanding what time is there for. Time is there to create output. And if you are distracted, if you are doing things that are not important and not urgent, you're creating waste. And waste creates cost, and you are not being productive. And therefore, you're not growing the business. So they're the things that you can try and adopt. Now, what are the tools that are out there that you can help you with this? So let's have a look. Before you start, because there are loads of time management tools out there, I would recommend that you do a bit of a personal audit on yourself and on your business on what are your main challenges. What are the things that really stop you being as efficient as you can with your time? Is it distraction? Is it procrastination? Is it not being able to organize and prioritize your activity effectively? Work out what is really sort of stopping you being more efficient. So, and put them in a sort of list, if you like. If you know that you're a procrastinator, you put that at the top. So what's going to help you overcome procrastination? If, however, it's really important that you allocate a cost to your time, you put that at the top. You want to know what your time is costing you so you can apply an appropriate charge to your customers. Or if you get things done, but you're not getting things done effectively enough in terms of getting them done quickly enough, that might be a focus. So know your challenges, then you create a top 5 requirements. What if you, because there's going to be loads of tools out there, and so if you had to choose the functionality, what would be? Does it need it? Do you need to be able to access it on mobile? Does it need email integration so you get email alerts? Does it need a really good task manager so you can look at your tasks and get reminders? Does it need timesheets or time tracking so you can record time against tasks? Does it need collaboration because you work with a lot of people? Put in those requirements that are relevant to your challenges and relevant to your business, because there won't be one tool out there, I guarantee, that will do everything for anybody, and it'll customize it to your business. So what is the most important things to you? And have that checklist of things, because that will really help you zero in on the right tool. Start simple. That's the best thing. Don't sign up to some full-blown project management, agile time tracking system that's going to take you months to understand and months to onboard yourself with. Start simple. Understand what your key challenges are, and then pick on something and something that you there is relatively low risk to adopting. So low cost, low time to adopt and time to understand, and then also your data. How are you going to get your data out, and how if you turn that tool down, in what format. So data is your responsibility, especially if you've got personal data of your customers. It's your responsibility to know where that data is and how secure it is. And therefore, if a customer asks you, you should be able to tell them. And likewise, if you want to stop using that tool and move to something more complex or more sophisticated, you need to be able to know that you can get your data out and what the cost might be and what the implications are. I.e. what format that data might be in. So know about your data, do that due diligence on it. So there's some sort of key things to think about before choosing the tool. Now here are some tools that we've used or use, and these are some we don't, but some are ones we do. So Trello is a really good way of prioritizing tasks. It can be used as an agile, as a Kanban board, which is Kanban board. For those that don't know, is very simple. You've got 3 columns. You've got a to-do, a doing, and a done. And you put all your tasks that you need to do into do. You move them into doing when you're doing them, and then once you've done them, you move them to done. There are other things around agile, but effectively that's the process. So Trello helps you keep track of those. It helps you prioritize. It's really easy to use. So you can have these cards which are effectively tasks. You can reorder them. You can assign responsibility to them. You can have an audit trail. You can attach things to them, and then you just move them across and done. And then you can open it up to your customers if you want to, or to colleagues or other contributors. So it's good. And it's a good way to start if that's something that you need to visualize your tasks and your projects. The other one, another one is Microsoft Planner. Now, Microsoft Planner comes with Office 365. So if you're already using Office 365, You can, there's no cost to having Planner, and Planner is just like Trello, not as user-friendly, but it's pretty fine, and you can do more or less the same thing. It doesn't look as good, but it's embedded into Teams, which is good if you are collaborating using Teams. So Teams, you can then use chat, you can invite other people, you can attach files to, etc., etc. There's no free tier with Planner. There's a very good free tier with Trello. But if you're already paying for Office 365, that's fine too. You can just use it. Then there's Microsoft To Do. I think it was called Wunderlist before. Wunderlist was bought by Microsoft, and it's effectively a task management. It's a task prioritization and scheduler. It's free, and it's pretty basic. But it's easy to use, and it's integrated with Office 365. You can download it onto your mobile app, and it's effectively, you put your tasks in and it just prompts you with reminders of, you need to do this now, you need to do that. So it helps with prioritization, and it helps with scheduling of things to do. That's about it. It doesn't help you with some of the other things around focus and around attention, around tracking time, or anything like that. Toggle, this is something which is around when you actually are wanting to log time against a task. So that might be relevant for someone who's charging, by the hour. So you create a task list, and then you can press a button and you start recording your time against that. So then that will export into a report, so you can use that to invoice your customers if necessary, or at least understand the cost of a job or a project that you're doing. It will integrate with things like Trello and Slack, and it's more a sort of a timer than anything else. But it's good for teams. So if you've got multiple people working on something, it does rely on a discipline of turning the record on, turning it off, and being focused on one thing at a time. Because if you're you get someone who's distracted across lots of things, you can't realistically turn on your timer against a task and then get distracted and then come back and get an accurate reading. So it's something there. There's a free tier, and if that's what you're looking for, that's quite a good tool. Again, Todoist. I haven't used this one myself, but I've heard good things about it. It's just an easy-to-use task manager. It helps you just organize your tasks, but assigns it to teams and projects. And then it gives you daily reminders, and it gives you a record and progress of tasks. And then it will integrate your other things, like we'll talk to Slack, we'll talk to Gmail and Outlook. So you'll get an email every morning say, these are the things you need to do. The reason I put it in there is because PC Mag ranked it as #1 as a task manager. And there's a free tier. So if you're really thinking, well, actually, I would like something that will organize my tasks online, I would look at that. And have a look at how that works. And here's a couple of mobile apps, and they're kind of cool. So these are for the Pomodoro Technique, which I talked about, which is that 25 minutes on and 5 minutes off. And what happens is each time you have a Pomodoro event, you plant a tree, and you plant a virtual tree, and you create a virtual forest. I think one of them allows you to actually pay for a tree somewhere in the world to help reforest places, but it's around gamifying your focus. Flora is free, so you can download it, and it's just instead of you using a little tomato timer, it just gives you a little bit more, I suppose, excitement, if you like, on how to organize and manage your time. And they're really, they're good little apps. They're very low risk, and if you need something to get you started, they're a good way of doing it. And it's a bit like that personal trainer everyone goes for. You can go to the gym whenever you want, and it doesn't stop you. A personal trainer doesn't make you go to the gym, but actually getting a personal trainer helps you get over that barrier of actually getting started, because you are then accountable to someone. It's a bit like that. It tries to give you some accountability for what you've set out to do, which is hard if it's just you. You've got to make yourself accountable, and these have that. So they're the tools. I hope they've been of value. If you've got any other questions about those, please raise them, or you're using other tools, I'm happy to answer. There are plenty out there. These are a couple of other resources that might be worth looking at for you. There's a little bit about how to use the Eisenhower box or matrix. There's a little video there that just shows you how to pass your tasks through and how to prioritize. It will give you a bit more background into it if you want to, visit it and potentially use it in your business. And here's an article about the 5-minute cure for procrastination. There is some psychological something happens in your brain about when you procrastinate, and when you started something, it sort of relieves that stress and that pressure. So I'd recommend you go away and have a look at that if that's something that you think would be of interest for you. And that concludes my presentation. I will, of course, take questions. I see that no one has raised any questions in the chat yet.
There's nothing.
Please do if you have questions. If you don't have questions now, but think of something later, I'll put my email address in here. You can send it to me direct, or you want some more advice on the different tools that you might want to use, please send me an email direct, and I'll happily do that for you. We can have a chat, or I can show you what we do. I'd be more than happy.
Charlotte's doing a fantastic webinar.
Oh, thank you, Charlotte. That's very kind of you. But hopefully it's been of value, and some good takeaways there. So if I just hand it over to you, Sandra, there's a few things you might want to cover. Yes,
the future webinars that we've got at the moment through Boost Lancashire are 28th April, that's Tuesday next week at 11:15. We've got Start Up Your Own Business and Start Up Your Business in Lockdown. Then we've got on the 30th, on the Thursday, we have got Your Greatest Asset. Ideas and techniques to motivate a remote workforce. That sounds like your greatest asset. I'm glad that there's a bit of explanation there. Yeah. Then the other one is also on Thursday, which is at 2:45. Take control. Change the way you work dramatically to increase output. So, and if you go on the Boost Lancashire website /events, it will tell you all of the webinars that Boost are actually.
Yeah, just on the take control, that's the one I'm doing, and I'm going to be talking more about Agile then. So Agile in terms of a methodology. Now you might think, oh, it's not appropriate for my business. It's a software thing. It's not. There's some really good techniques and really good ideas that you can adopt that will make you far more efficient, I promise. So if you've thought about it and don't really know what Agile is or what Agile means, please come along, because it will be really helpful for you, because I'll give you some pointers around how you might adopt, and it's related to this in terms of prioritization, but it's a way of working, which is something you might want to consider.
Here we've got a comment, Michael, to say that someone's been listening to this whole webinar whilst they've done a weekly shop. So how's multitasking?
Well, yes, very good, very good. It is good. Multitasking makes you stupid, though. So maybe you've bought something
that you don't really
want to buy.
Yes.
Nice.
So is there any more, if we got any more questions? I find this really interesting. Thank you very much.
Chris has asked, can you get slides? And yes, we will give slides out. Is the slide available? How are we getting the slides to people? Yes, they will be available.
Yes, so they get sent a feedback form and by email. And then once we've received this back, then the slides are available. They get sent to them.
Great. Okay. Yes. And there's another slide here, Sandra, around further support.
We've got a little question and answers. They come through on the question and answers.
Yeah.
Copies of slides. Where did you see something, Michael, on support?
Oh no, this slide is sorry, further support and next steps. So if you've got specialist, so contact Boost.
Yes, so if you need anything further, we've got on the slides there We've got Winning Pitch, Rachel Taylor. We've got her email, or Ivana Patel from Enterprise for All. So everything is on these slides. If you want to contact me, shall I put my email address? Shall I put mine on there? Yeah. That's the UK. That's my address. If you need anything, my web address. If you need anything from me, email address. And you gave yours, didn't you, Michael, earlier on?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So seriously helpful, doing a lot of this already, but having one on time. Yeah. Did you read that?
Yes. Great.
Genuinely helpful. I also, Michael, find that very, very helpful.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I kept thinking,
when you're measuring time, we measure time, and all our people's time. It's really important to get the most out of it, without being, like a militant boss. You want people to be the most effective as they can be, and you're going to give them the tools that they can to use. So.
Yeah, and I think especially working from home or whatever at the moment as well, it's quite difficult.
It's too easy to get distracted, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, very easy to get distracted, especially being a female. Taking washing out and things.
Yeah.
when you've got to go and see your desk. So, but Chris Rose has got a question here. We used to. Can you read it?
Yeah, weekly involving up to 2 hours travel and miles. Zoom works great and much more efficient. Will firms keep doing this point post-crisis, do you think? Yes, I do think so.
Yeah, so too.
I absolutely think so. I also think that many businesses who have an office will reevaluate the need for working in an office all the time, and whether they can be more efficient by working at home for a period of either all the time or at a period of time of the week. I think that's going to change.
I agree with you there.
So, okay, if it's the slides are coming. I think Honor 9 has asked for the slides, but the slides are coming for if you.
Yeah, so they'll all be sent an email first of all, and then when we receive their form back, then the slides will get sent to them.
Great. Okay.
All right. Super. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Go out, and if you're not already outside, go and enjoy the sunshine.
Is that in my time management slot?
Yeah. You're allowed 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Bye.
Bye.